What up, y'all? Back here with another video in a timely fashion, finally. I have the second half of my funeral and death doom section here. Obviously, when I say death doom, I mean kind of the funeral-y, kind of peacefully, kind of death metal. And we have M through W here, so this is going to be the last part, and then after that, we're getting into traditional doom. So let's cut into it. If you hear some craziness in the background, we're listening to this absolutely stellar classic Focus by Cynic. I was watching a video earlier and it put me in the mood to hear this because I actually really like this album quite a bit, which is weird because a lot of people hate this. I don't know, man. Great classic. And we're going to drink Paul Lander's Munich Hefeweizen. I haven't had beer in one of these videos in a good long while, so I figured it's about time to pop one open. Pop it up again. If you guys know that Alan Jackson song. Top quality, completely missed my goal, whatever. Oh, this is a Hofbrau cup. I was like, oh, sick. That was an awful pour. I was not paying attention. I'll let that settle for a sec. I'm an absolute moron. You know, for somebody who brews beer for a living, I really messed up that one. Anyway, all right. So first thing we got going on here is, I don't know how to really say this band, but it's the Maledict with the album Dread. If you guys aren't familiar with this band, it is an Australian band. And I don't exactly remember where I got this from. I think it was definitely a VCLT. I don't remember if it was from Scott from No Solution or Rick from the Dreadful Minutes, but one of those two boys, either way, one way or another, do go check out both of their channels. They sent me this, and it was just a really stellar piece of kind of funeral doom inspired death metal, but it's a little bit more on the, I don't know, man. It's a little bit more on the death metal side of things than it is the really doomy side of things. It's got some weird influences here and there. I don't know, man. I haven't spent enough time with it to have a really great and vibrant opinion about it, but certainly check it out if you haven't. This is their debut album from like 05. Quality. All right. So that's going to be it for that one because I really can't say much more and I was distracted by that beer the entire time. Out and transcending. Next, Mind Rot with the EP Forlorn. If you guys are familiar with Mind Rot, they're an American doom band from California. This is out on Relapse. I picked this up out of a used bin for like $4. No clue why this isn't worth way more than that, because it is stellar, dude. 90s American funeral doom, death doom is something that really needs to get some more attention as far as I'm concerned. If you guys haven't heard this, the vocalist is the vocalist in the band Morgion, which is also defunct now. I don't know what happened, but he seemed to have like cut out of music entirely all at once. Obviously he's passed away. No, he's not passed away. A different member's passed away now. But this is a great, kind of a little bit more on the death metal side, but still pretty doomy, really expansive soundscape. They definitely were privy to the Peaceville bands here. Nonetheless, really solid stuff, especially for $4, dude. If you go find this Mind Rot stuff anywhere, even on Discogs, it's super cheap. So I would highly recommend you track this one down. Got a couple albums from one of the greatest bands in the style. This is The Monad of Creation by Mournful Congregation. This is their second record from 2005. I don't have their debut. It doesn't seem to be the easiest thing to come upon, but this is just so good. My favorite song on here is actually the acoustic song, which is When the Weeping Dawn Beheld Its Mortal Thirst. It is like this super epic, really well put together, harmonized classical guitar piece for like, I don't know, I want to say it's like 12 minutes or 20 minutes, something like that. It's a really long song, but it's so somber and so sorrowful, so atmospheric all at once. It's a really well done piece for what I imagine to be some young dudes back in the day in Australia. And 2005 is not back in the day, but it is to me because I guess I'm still pretty young. This is just seriously a stellar record, one of the best in funeral doom's history, unquestionably. Next, you saw me talk about these three recently, so I won't talk too much about them, but this is the Incubus of Karma, newest full-length album from, what is it, 2019, 2018, I don't remember exactly, maybe 17, whatever. somewhere in there. But this is out on 20 bucks spin. Great record. It's Mournful Congregation doing more Mournful Congregation. Maybe a little spacey to it. I don't know. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that. That might be just a suggestive memory based off the album cover. But obviously, I've only had this for a couple of months, so I haven't exactly fully digested it as much as I will. Not like I have with like the Monad of Creation. And this is part 1 and part 2 of the XUV of Gods or something like that. So this is 2 EPs. They go together with each other. This is the first one, and this is the second one. This one came out this year. This one came out last year. As long as yeah. So these are basically put together. They'd make one long concept album about whatever that is. But they're super long. Each one stands on its own at nearly 40 minutes. So, yeah, actually this one is almost 40 minutes, and this one is, they're about a hair short of 40 minutes a piece, so they're not exactly EPs in the traditional sense. But if you guys haven't heard this stuff, go check it out. They're still putting out killer records. Next, we got some My Dying Bride as the Flower Withers. This seems to be one of the greatest in the genre of which it belongs to, absolutely unquestionably. This album and the next one are the two of the best highlights in this kind of goth doom. This one has a lot more of a death metal attack to it than they would come to have, because they kind of shed mostly all of the death metal later on in their catalog. This is a stellar record. I'm sure you guys have heard it. And this is Turn Loose the Swans, the most iconic of all of the My Dying Bride stuff, and maybe the most iconic of all the Peaceville bands. I would either argue it's this or the debut Catatonia record. Just so good, dude. It's so weighty as far as the emotion goes with it. It's seriously, it's stellar. All over the place. It's got these great violins. I mean, there's nothing I'm really explaining to you that you guys didn't know about this. It's My Dying Bride. I'm basically talking to you about something that's so painfully obvious I just need to shut my mouth. And this, I picked this up a good long while ago. This is The Voice of the Wretched by My Dying Bride, which came out in 2002. This is something I blind bought back in high school when I first started hearing about this kind of stuff. And I bought it at FYE, not really knowing anything about it. And it turned out to just be a live record, which explains why I didn't care about My Dying Bride until later on in my metal listening career. So it's got, all of the stuff from 2002 or 2001 and before, because this was recorded in March of 01. So it's all of like the classic era. Obviously they lightened up a little bit, except for what is the album that's got like a bunch of digits in the name? I don't particularly remember, but I don't know if any of these songs are on there. I don't know that album at all, so I'm not going to bother with that. Next, one of my favorites, one of the first things I ever gotten into in the Funeral Doom camp. This is Gellenfrist by Nort. This is a Dutch band out of avant-garde music. If you guys don't know this one, first off, that is a horrifying album cover. Absolutely killer. If you don't know Nort, it is a bass-only blackened Funeral Doom band, and it is stellar stuff. It's so ambient and droning that it's just absolutely horrifying in every sense of the word. I don't know how many of you guys are big fans of this band, but you really should be, because they deserve every bit of support as far as this style goes, because there's not a lot of it. I mean, it's bass only, which is wild, and it still sounds full, and it still sounds like there's nothing missing out of it. It's really great stuff, dude. Nort is such a great album. Or this album by Nort is such a great album. Next, another classic, Exhumed of the Earth by Paramecium. Picked this one up earlier this year as well. Got it from Boone's Overstock. This is a Bombworks repress. And it is the gold disc edition, which is, I don't know what the deal is, dude. I've heard that these gold discs sound better or something. I don't really know where that comes from or if that is the slightest bit true. But this is a great record. It's basically like another Turn Loose the Swans era My Dying Bride record. So if you haven't gotten enough of that record and you love it, but you don't want to be constantly listening to it, this is a great one to supplement yourself with. Same with this one, Within the Ancient Forest by Paramecium, another Boone's Overstock pickup. This is a gold disc number 25. Comes with this little card. The other one didn't come with a card for whatever reason, and I don't really care. but like if it was supposed to come with it, I wish I had it just because I'm an absolute loser. But you know, another gold disc, as you can see shining there. This one's almost as good as that last one. This one just seems to have a little bit more of like an expansive melodic death metal taste to it. But what's really cool is Within the Ancient Forest is a novel written by one of the members of this band, and the whole album is a concept written around that novel, which is extra sweet. I mean, I don't really know too much about it. I don't really know what the whole story is as far as the actual thing, the actual story itself is, but I don't know, dude. I find that endlessly fascinating. Check this out if you guys haven't heard it. Next, Gothic by Paradise Lost. I really am not a huge Paradise Lost guy for the most part. I've always wanted to like this band more, but I'm really going to have to put this on the player sometime because I just don't remember how much I dug it. I mean, I kind of remember hearing it being wonky, kind of boring. I don't know. Every time I've listened to it, I haven't been particularly impressed. So I'll get back to you guys on that, and I know it's a really unpopular opinion, but it happens. Next, Mystic Places of Dawn by Septic Flesh. This is top shelf material with a horrendous album cover. I hate that Septic Flesh reissues all their stuff with these awful CGI like Dollar General Belphegor album covers. Just really, really great Lovecraftian, atmospheric death metal that is churning and slow. This also comes with Temple of the Lost Race mini LP on the back. And dude, seriously, I have been so impressed with the early Septic Flesh material. I just can't exclaim enough how much it really, really just changes your whole mindset when you listen to it, man. You listen to this and you're like sitting back in awe because it's just so impressively atmospheric. If you guys haven't listened to much Septic Flesh and all you know them for is their like crappy new era, listen to the first couple, dude. Absolutely top shelf stuff. And then this one, I don't have the second one, but I do have Ophidian Wheel, which is this third one. This is like the last record that is really stellar in the Septic Flesh catalog. The one right after this is pretty good too. It's like a Lost Temple or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But this is the last really, really top shelf one. And it's a great record. I mean, it's almost as good as that first one. It doesn't have the same kind of, you know, charm. It doesn't have the same homemade, genuine charm and feel to it. But nonetheless, it's a really great record. I'll get that middle one eventually. I just need to order it at some point. But yeah, it's actually really hard to order because the lettering is not, you know, what we use in America. It might be Greek because this band is Greek. I don't really remember. Anyway, Septic Flesh is great. Next, My Silent Wake with Shadow of Sorrow. And this is their debut. And then I have their second record here, which is The Anatomy of Melancholy. So this is the second record, and it comes with two versions of it. It has the first volume, which is the original mix, and then it basically has like a redone version of it in the second one. Nothing super cool as far as the artwork goes in any of these, but this is kind of like it sounds very 2000s, but it maintains that like 90s death doom sound to it, obviously in the peaceful sense of the word. It's pretty good stuff. It really does not hold your attention quite like the other bands would. That's what I was trying to get at there. But like I said, this is their second record from 2007, and their first record was from 2005, I want to say. But, you know, nonetheless, if you see these pretty cheap, you know, don't spend your whole budget on stuff like this, but definitely pick them up if you see them like in a used bin or something. I think you could get down with them. This, spend all your money on. Stormcrow Fleet, with Skepticism. This is one of the most classic records in the entire genre. This and the debut Thurgathon, which I don't own yet because I just haven't managed to track down a copy for a price I want to pay. But this is nonetheless 1995, one of the first things to ever be in this funeral doom genre. All around a stellar record. It's dark, the production's kind of thin, which I think adds a creepiness to this band that you wouldn't otherwise assume out of them. It's just really, really well put together. Not much I could say other than check this out. This is a one-off. This is Svartsen with Andens Melancholy. No clue definitely not pronouncing that right, I could actually say. But this is a one-off EP from a Norwegian band from 1996. Looks really nice in here. I really like that band photo. I think that's really, really cool. This is kind of more of your, like, blackened doom, kind of somewhere in that Catatonia vein, as opposed to being a little bit more of a death metal band. Obviously, Catatonia is kind of somewhere between those three genres, Black Death and Doom, and this kind of leans in that general vicinity, but a lot more in the black metal camp, the Black Doom camp. You know, if you have one of those charts where there's like three circles with each other. Just really, really great record. It's really short. I wish they would have actually stuck around for a while and done a little bit more music for us to be graced with, but you know, at least they left us this, because if the world didn't hear this, we'd really, really be missing out, because it's a stellar EP. Next is a discography, Symphony of Grief. This is a comp of everything they ever put out, and it is absolutely stellar. Some of the greatest death doom to ever exist, ever, coming out of the United States especially. So good, dude. This is really in your like disembowelment camp, which I also don't own any of. I need to get a hold of some disembowelment. There's only so much you can buy, and you guys know how that goes. But nonetheless, this is a great compilation to get all of their stuff. You really hear where Worm got a lot of their style from when you hear this. It's really, really stellar, dude. Next, my buddy Joe's Metal Man Cave talked about this band's first album in one of his videos talking about this style of music, but I wound up tracking this down for pretty cheap, which is Beyond the Veil by Tristania, or something like that. This is a Norwegian band, their second record from 1999. I will get their first record eventually, just not exactly a top priority for me, so I kind of haven't made it happen quite yet. But this is a great kind of gothic, doom, goth metal, record with some harsh vocals, so I kind of put it in this camp, because it's kind of more like your 2000s goth metal, but with harsh vocals. It's a really well produced record, late 90s. What is it, like Lacuna Coil, I think, is something similar to this. I've never really listened to Lacuna Coil, but I've heard them compared. So if I should be listening to Lacuna Coil, please let me know if there's a particular record you think I would like that's not just absolutely awful. But Tristania is pretty cool. Check out this stuff if you haven't heard it. How many times can I say that in a record? Let's find out. Anyway, the second Ring of Power by Unholy, Finnish band. I've had this for a while, and I haven't spent a lot of time with it. I've heard it a good handful of times, but I haven't really just like pounded it into my ears like some people seem to have done. But from what I remember, it's a really cool death doom album with some of that weird kind of wonky Finnish melodicism to it. Nonetheless, I think that's a killer style. More bands should make stuff that sounds like this, I think, because this is like a lost art form, and that's one of the things I really appreciate about a band we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. So, Unholy. Next, Erna with Sepulchrum. This is an Italian blackened funeral doom band. Haven't been able to figure out what that album cover is supposed to be by any means, but this is just absolutely horrifying sounding. It is hellish. It is like the accompaniment to Dante's Inferno, basically, which I wonder if that has anything to do with the imagery of this style. I don't know, man. I don't know too much about this band other than the fact that they only put out like 2 records maybe, and I don't think they're together anymore. But blackened funeral doom with a really scary, kind of hazy, kind of crunchy, fiery atmosphere. Definitely check this out if you guys think that sounds interesting. Listen to this Cynic record. They're going wild right now. Crazy. All right, I've actually already shown this because it used to be a different spot, and I've actually reorganized my sections a little bit here. This is Woods 4 by Woods of Ypres. You guys have definitely heard me mention this in like a black metal video, but because it's leaning a lot more towards the doom side of things, and I kind of associate this band with like a blackened doom, I think it fits a little bit more into this section as opposed to, you know, where I had it before in like my melodic progressive symphonic black metal section. I don't think that fits in there at all. So this would be something I'd mention in the same breath as, like, I don't know, man, like an Agalloch even though they sound nothing alike. They just hit me in, and they make me want to listen to them in the same moods, which is kind of odd. But it's a great record, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. Woods of Ypres. And the last three are all from the same band. I don't own the debut, but I do own Gloom Lord by Worm. Just must-have stuff, dude. This is a really great death metal band. I first heard this and saw this photo, and it made me very confused. I was like, oh, it's a 4-person band, but it's not. But Phantom Slaughter is the mainstay in this band. Equimanthorn, I don't know how much he has to do with this band anymore, but I think it's mostly just Phantom Slaughter and miscellaneous people that he gets to work with him. But this is a stellar record. Kind of fits a little bit more into that, you know, $20 spin thing that was happening a handful of years ago, and it seems to still be, but it seems to maybe slow down a little bit now. This fits a little bit more in there as compared to the record Foreverglade, which is amazing. Seriously, one of the greatest death metal, death doom albums to come out in the past 10 years, unquestionably. Just such a great atmospheric journey. It's so melodic. It is so uncomfortable sounding, but in a really beauteous sense, you know. It's kind of engulfing as far as the atmosphere goes, and there's definitely a little tinge of black metal here and there, and I know that they originally started off as a black metal project, but this seriously just mixes everything together so unbelievably well, it's not even funny. And then we are left with the tracks and creating Blue Nothing, as far as I know, that this is leftover tracks from Foreverglade. Killer band photos, absolute corn and goofiness, which is what I love out of a metal album. Great aesthetics. This guy is a student of the genre, which I respect endlessly. I really do, man. This is just such a good EP, and it came out, I don't know, last year, this year. I think it was this year. Either way, that's all the Worm stuff that I have, so I'm going to continue to keep up with that band. So after this, I might have another collection update, or I'll have my Doom section continued. So we'll see how it goes, but I'll catch you all in the next one. Keep it greasy.